Okay, hi everybody. I'm going to talk a little bit about post-ride care after you've been riding in salt water or brackish water. I ride both of these skis. Actually, I live on a lake, so I don't flush them because I'm riding in fresh water. And it's real clean, clear water here, so I don't flush these. But if I was riding in salt water, what I recommend, what I've done in the past is I get my garden hose. I get it hooked up to the engine flush port. It's the black one here, okay? So I get my hose connected up here. I do not turn on the water. Okay, I get my hose all hooked up. I get my fitting in here. The hose is on. I go start the engine. I start the engine. Then I go turn on my water within a few seconds. Okay. I turn on the water slowly. When I say slowly, I just don't crank it. I turn it on reasonably, not like if there's a lot of pressure, I slowly open it, about like that. So anyways, the motor's running. Now water's going through the engine. You'll start seeing water come out the bottom here. It'll be coming out through this area and hitting the ground, okay? You can check as well your Telltale Port, I call it, the pisser, whatever you want to call it. There'd be some water coming out here as well. Normally, I would flush for about 10 minutes. I think that's sufficient. Some guys use salt away. I don't have any experience with it. There's a bit of a debate on salt away, whether it really works. It probably helps, probably doesn't hurt, but that's up to you. So anyways, I would flush it for 10 minutes, okay? So let's say your 10 minutes is up, okay? Go and turn off your water, okay? Come over to your engine, okay? You've shut your water off. I would rev it 4 or 5 times, like 1, 2, and while you're revving it, look at the back and you'll see water shooting back here for the first 1 or 2 revs. You'll see it shoot out here, right? So what I do is about 4 or 5, I voom, voom, voom. I don't over rev it. What I mean by that is maybe 2,000, 2,500 RPM each rev. 4 or 5 times, I'm done. I shut the engine off. I come to the back. I disconnect the hose that was feeding water to the engine, okay? So now, the intercooler, I take the hose and I hook it up to the intercooler. Do not start the engine. Hook it up to the intercooler because the water's only going through the intercooler. It's not going through your engine with this gray port. That is your intercooler flushing port. Again, flush for 10 minutes. Do not start the engine. Okay, so the water's just going through the intercooler. You don't go and start the engine after, nothing like that. The intercooler is a separate unit. So the water goes through the intercooler for 10 minutes, shut the water off, take your fitting out of here, you're done, right? Well, sort of. What I do is, and especially if you're riding in salt water, I will take the seats off. See if I can do this. And fog the intercooler. Okay, you've already flushed the engine. You burped it. We call it burping. 4 or 5 times, that's done. Then you went and you flushed the intercooler for 10 minutes. You're done. Then what I would do is, we call it fogging the supercharger. I've done videos on that. This is your port here. Okay, little rubber knob there, you take that off. You put your, I'll go get a can and show you. I use this XPS by Sea-Doo. Kawasaki makes an actual fogging oil. That's what I would use. I'm in Southeast Asia, so I can't get Kawasaki fogging oil. And this goes down your port here, okay? And like I say, I've already done videos on that. And you spray it in here. I spray it directly in my supercharger, but that's in my video, the other video. So what you would do is get the can set up, start the engine, don't rev it, spray in there for about 5-6 seconds is plenty. Some guys go 10, that's up to you. Don't rev it. Just spray it in there, run the engine for 5-6 seconds, shut the engine off, put the cap back on. You're done, right? Well, again, sort of. Now, what I do after a run is I open everything up. This is left open. If you're outside, well, that might be kind of tough, but I'm in a sealed garage here. I take this off too. I undo these 4 bolts. I get this whole unit off. So I've got lots of air going through here. I open this. I prop this open. I go up to the front. Okay. Don't let that. Anyways, I take the bucket out. I take the front cover to the ECU off. There's 4 little push tabs. So the air flows through here. There's lots of air going through the ski, and I leave it open for about 2 days. If you're outside somewhere, that might be kind of tricky. You could have a rodent problem. What I would do is I would still open it up if it's feasible for as many hours as you can to get all that moisture out, right? But now, you've taken everything off. You've fogged the supercharger. If you're running in salt water, I would come out with a garden hose. Take your garden hose, and I would lightly spray the motor on the top, not with really cold water, all on down the sides, underneath the motor, particularly in the back here, where your supercharger pulleys are, the belt, the pivot bearing area. Again, I've talked about these issues in other videos. I'd spray in the back towards the intercooler. Spray this whole area here with fresh water. I wouldn't spray up front because you have your ECU up in there and electrical wiring. But I would spray from this section back. Really give it a good spray. There's your supercharger back in there. A lot of time spent on that pulley on the supercharger because they rust. I saw one 76 hours that had holes in it. And that pulley on your motor, there's 2 pulleys. There's one on your supercharger. There's one on your motor. Lots of fresh water. Spray it all. Get underneath this side. There's your oil cooler. It's got clamps on it. I've seen them rusted. Lots of fresh water. Of course, your drain plugs are out when you're doing that. And your ski is, let's get a good photo there. There's a drain plug. There's your other drain plug. Your ski is tilted up as much as you can to get all the water out as you're spraying that fresh water. And again, let it dry out for 2 or 3 days. And look at this ski. This ski has got 34 hours, it's like brand new. Of course, I'm not in salt water, but if I was, I would be spraying it down with fresh water. So anyways, it's aired out for a few days. Don't forget to put the drain plugs back in, and that's today's tip from Rod. Okay, hope that helps.